In the New Testament, there is a strong emphasis on the need for good doctrinal teaching. We see that even in the Great Commission of Jesus Christ, we are called to make disciples, devoted followers of Jesus Christ through baptism and teaching. And often in the New Testament, the word teaching is translated from a Greek word from which we get our English word catechesis or catechism. And so in the early church, as pastors in the grassroots realized the weight of their responsibility to declare the whole counsel of God to every baptized person, they realized that they need some kind of method, some kind of system to make sure that they are consistently teaching all major Christian doctrine to every believer in the local church. And so all that a catechism is, or a catechism book is just a short summary, often in question and answer format, of basic Christian teaching. And most catechisms cover three things: the Apostles' Creed, which is what we believe, the Ten Commandments, which is how we live, and the Lord's Prayer, which is how we pray. And so from the very earliest times, as early as the late first, early second century, we see that pastors are developing catechisms. And there's even hints in the New Testament itself when Paul talks about the pattern of teaching, that the church already had a fixed body of doctrine that it was passing on to every new believer. We see that at Pentecost, how the first mark of the Spirit-filled church was a devotion to the apostles' teaching or doctrine. One of the things that I find ironic is that today, when you use the word catechism, a lot of people associate it with the Roman Catholic Church. But in fact, catechisms long predate the Roman Catholic Church, and one of the fundamental objections of the Protestant Reformers is that the Roman Catholic Church in the late Middle Ages had failed to catechize the laity. They had neglected this biblical duty of catechesis. And so with the Protestant Reformation came this intense season of catechetical renewal. And every Protestant church and tradition produced their own catechism. Martin Luther had a small version and a large version of his catechism. And to this day in the Lutheran tradition, those are used. In the Reformed tradition, with people like Jacob Arminius, they use the Heidelberg Catechism. In the English Church, the Book of Common Prayer, the Anglican Church has a catechism. We see that the Westminster Divines produced a catechism, the Westminster Shorter, and then also a larger version of that. And John Wesley, an English theologian and Anglican priest all his life, especially liked the Westminster Shorter. And he adapted it a little bit, abridged it a little bit, and he included that in his Christian library for Methodist ministers and for Methodist people. And a lot of people don't know that Wesley also wrote his own children's catechism, Instructions for Children. And when Methodism became its own movement, its own church, its own denomination, the first Methodist denomination published the Methodist Episcopal Catechism that I'm holding in my hands. And so catechesis is a thoroughly Protestant, evangelical, and biblical thing to do. And I've met so many Christians who cannot give a clear answer to basic questions like, what is the gospel? What is justification by faith? I have a good minister friend who preached in 40 churches over the last year, and he told me that of all of those churches, as he discussed justification by faith, he said he has confidence that maybe 2 or 3, on the whole, had a clear understanding of the doctrine of justification by faith. And I think we hear a lot of clamoring for discipleship and discipleship resources, but I think what people are especially looking for is a specific aspect of discipleship, which is called catechesis. And that is clear instruction in the whole counsel of God, that Christians have a firm grasp on what it is that we believe, how it is that we're supposed to live, and how it is that we're supposed to pray. And much of Holy Joy's work has been trying to recover this rich tradition of biblical and Protestant catechesis.